You are here not by accident. You found this audiobook because something inside you refuses to settle for limitation. Most people struggle with manifestation because the ego blocks them at every turn, feeding fear, doubt, and resistance while disguising it as control. That stops now. In this audiobook, you will discover 10 powerful steps to break free. Awaken your heart, beyond ego illusions, release inner resistance, embrace present awareness, align your daily thoughts with expansion, strengthen your energy, transform fear into growth, trust quantum signals, stabilize your field with steady rituals, expand inner vision, and live every moment as a continuous quantum becoming. Each chapter is a practical tool designed to rewire your mind, align your energy, and activate effortless creation. Watch, absorb, and apply. Subscribe to this quantum audiobook channel now to access life-altering guidance that rewires your psychology, amplifies manifestation, and delivers the next transformative chapters directly to you. Number 1. Awaken your heart. To see beyond ego illusion. Open your chest and feel the room around you shift. A single deep inhale moves through the ribs into the heart space, and something that thought had called unchangeable softens. That softening is the first door. The ego has taught many clever ways to hold you small, to keep you safe. Those ways are familiar patterns of thought and habit that speak loud and certain. They promise protection by predicting outcomes, by rehearsing old losses, and by insisting on control. The heart knows another language. The heart offers clarity not because it argues harder, but because it arrives calm, steady, and present. When the heart is awake, the noise of the ego loses its conviction. You begin to notice the texture of thought, the weight of a judgment, and the habitual clutching at what should be different. Noticing is already action. Noticing opens choice. Sit with this idea. Feel the chest expand. Then relax. Name one small worry that habitually rises. Watch it as if it were an image on a small screen. Notice how the worry pulls attention backward or forward, away from what is alive now. The ego will say that worrying proves care. The heart says that worrying steals the only fertile soil for creation, which is the present moment. There is a practical test. Breathe in for 4 count, hold for 2, and exhale for 6 count. Repeat 3 cycles and sense the shift. This breath is a direct line into the nervous system. It signals that danger is manageable, and that a wider intelligence is available. The ego meets this by whispering another story about why it cannot relax. That whisper is a signal for practice, not a verdict. A clear action that rewires this pattern requires 3 movements. The first movement is to name. Speak the thought or feeling aloud with one precise word. Fear. Shame. Not enough. Saying it reduces the thought from a roaming ghost to an object before you. The second movement is to locate. Drop your attention into your body and notice where that word sits. Tightness in the throat, a hollow in the chest, a warmth in the stomach. The mind will want to explain why the feeling is there. Do not offer explanations yet. Locate and sense. The third movement is to soften into the place with your breath and with the intention that presence itself is a remedy. Presence does not erase the feeling immediately. Presence rearranges the relationship so the feeling can move rather than be stuck. These 3 movements create a new muscle. Like any muscle, it becomes stronger by repetition. Begin with tiny deliberate practices. When a small irritation arises at the next email or conversation, pause and move through name. Locate, soften. Say the word in a low voice, then feel the area. Then breathe to soften. Over time, this will widen the space between impulse and reaction. In that space, new choices appear. Quantum manifestation does not work as an external trick. It requires that inner space where coherent intention and relaxed receptivity meet. The ego erodes that space by filling it with predictive scripts and urgent solutions. Cultivate a morning micro-ritual that binds heart wakefulness into the day. Before reaching for a phone or a task, sit upright with the feet on the floor. Place one hand over the heart and the other on the belly. Take 3 focused breaths in the pattern that lengthens the exhale. On the third exhale, offer a simple phrase asked as felt intention rather than thought. A phrase such as "I open to what is here now" or "I choose ease over force" will do. Speak it softly and then move into one small action that honors the body. Drink a glass of water slowly or stretch the spine while acknowledging the breath. These small actions are scaffolding. They train the nervous system to recognize that waking begins in calm embodiment, not in reactive scanning. The ego will complain that this wastes time. The field replies by making each hour that follows more aligned and more productive. Use sensory anchors to break the spell of automaticity. When the mind slips into old stories, notice a physical sensation such as the weight of the hand against the thigh or the sound of your breath. Sensory anchors are simple, reliable, gentle reminders that you are not your thinking. They return you to the present moment where coherence can be forged. Choose one anchor for your day and attach it to a natural habit. If you drink tea in the afternoon, allow the steam rising to be your signal to soften. If you pass the window at work, notice the light on your skin and redirect attention inward for 3 soft breaths. This method is not mystical. It is neurology applied with intention. There will be moments when the heart awakens fully for a beat, and then the ego rushes in to sabotage the experience with doubt or disbelief. This is normal. The ego preserves itself by undermining novelty. When this sabotage appears, name it out loud. Say, "This is the voice that protects me by shrinking me." Watch how mere naming reduces its power. Then choose a deliberate, small, real action that aligns with what the heart suggested earlier. If the heart opened to a creative idea, write one sentence. If the heart asked for connection, send one honest message. Action confirms alignment. It is not necessary to move mountains immediately. Tiny, consistent actions demonstrate trust to your own system and to the wider field. An embodied practice that creates durable change requires regular intervals of self-audit that are tender, not punitive. Once per evening, sit with a short set of questions without argument. What felt closed today? Where did contraction show up? Where did ease appear? What small choice supported alignment? Answer with 3 words and then close with a breath of gratitude. Gratitude grounds the nervous system in positive appraisal and trains the mind to notice what opens rather than what fails. This nightly audit becomes a feedback loop that reveals patterns without shaming. The ego will prefer a heroic narrative of perfect mastery. The field prefers honest incremental learning. Choose the field. Language shapes. Replace internal commands that sound like orders with invitations that hold curiosity. Replace "I must" with "I choose." Replace "I am failing" with "I am learning." Words shift the electromagnetic tone of your field. Speak to yourself as if you were coaching a dear friend already on the path. Harsh self-talk tightens the body and narrows perception. Gentle, clear language expands capacity and allows creative impulses to surface. This is a practical lever you can pull in any moment. The voice of the ego will mock this softness as weakness. Observe the mockery and move forward anyway. Radical clarity about desire dissolves ego doublespeak. The ego will disguise desire as need, and then demand immediate proof. It will inflate imagined scarcity and then push you into frantic doing. Practice clarifying one desire at a time. Write it down in one sentence that begins with "I feel" and ends with "I receive." For example, "I feel creative and I receive steady time and small success." Keep it specific, measurable, and kind. When desire is clear, the field aligns more efficiently. Clarity reduces friction. The ego thrives in fog. Provide light. Trust shows up as a practical habit rather than a belief system. Each day, place one small area into trust, deliberately. If money worries are constant, trust the next small financial decision, such as tracking one expense or offering one unpaid value to someone with the expectation of nothing in return. If relationships are strained, trust by listening deeply for 5 minutes without solving. Trust is not blind. Trust is calibrated by action. When trust is practiced, the heart recognizes reliability. The living field responds to that reliability with opportunities, patterns, and synchronicities that were inaccessible when caution dominated. Embodiment requires movement of the body as a bridge for heart insights. Stand with feet wide and press into the ground. Feel the weight flow down, then imagine the spine lengthen upward through the crown. Shake the hands gently to release unnecessary tension. Move in a way that feels mildly awkward and entirely your own. Movement changes chemistry. It interrupts ruminative loops and signals to the nervous system that the present moment is safe for new patterns. Combine movement with breath and a clear intention. The body will remember what the mind forgets. Reframe failure as data, not identity. The ego turns mistakes into moral judgments that loop into shame. The heart reads the mistake as information. Approach errors with curiosity and specific revision. What exactly happened? What was tried? What will be shifted next? Create an experiment mindset. Small experiments conducted consistently yield compounding shifts. The field favors iterative clarity, not dramatic corrections. Keep the experiments brief, clean, and measurable. The ego will insist on either total success or complete shutdown. Choose iteration. There may be deep layers where the ego's hold is rooted in old survival strategies from childhood or culture. These may require support beyond the practices above. Seek stable companionship in a coach, mentor, or trusted friend who holds the heart's maturity, not the ego's drama. Therapy or somatic work can be a direct channel to release heavy stories that do not shift with lighter practices. This is not weakness, it is wise resource allocation. The heart values the right tool at the right time. Return again to breath and to the moment. Imagine the chest as a lighthouse beam that cuts through fog. When the beam is lit, the next right action becomes visible. That action may be small and mundane. It may be writing one sentence, making one call, or pausing at midday to rest. The field responds to such clarity because it is fed by coherence, not frantic intention. Coherence feels like ease. Ease does not mean passive drift. Ease is purposeful alignment. Each day that coherence is practiced expands the field that you carry and the field that carries you. Close this hour with a simple vow made quietly in the body. Place a hand on the heart and say inwardly, I will name, locate, soften before I react. Breathe into that vow and feel the nervous system accept it. Like a contract with self, rise from this practice and act in one small way that honors it. The momentum of that single act will ripple. The ego will attempt stories to minimize the effect. Allow the ripple to continue anyway. Over time, the collection of tiny ripples becomes a current. That current sustains manifestation that feels effortless because it was built from honest, steady presence rather than frantic will. The heart knows the way forward. Open-hearted attention walks at one breath, one choice, and one deliberate action at a time. Number 2. Release inner resistance to unlock your quantum flow. There is a truth that often hides in plain sight. What blocks the natural flow of your energy is not the external world, but the subtle grip of inner resistance. Resistance is the invisible wall that the ego builds to protect its territory. It whispers that safety comes from control, that certainty is better than possibility, and that holding tight guarantees survival. Yet this holding is the very reason manifestation feels heavy, slow, and exhausting. Quantum manifestation requires openness because the field responds not to effort but to coherence. Niels Bohr once said that everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. His words remind us that the fabric of reality is fluid, ever-shifting, and responsive to the patterns we radiate. When you carry resistance, you instruct the field to mirror contraction. When you dissolve resistance, you create a signal of openness that life cannot help but answer. To release inner resistance, you must first notice where it lives in you. It often shows up as tension in the body, a restless thought loop, or a tight emotional grip. You might find it when an opportunity arrives and you hesitate with doubt. You might feel it when an idea sparks, but the ego quickly lists reasons why it will not work. Resistance is not always loud. Sometimes it hides in subtle delays and small excuses, in the quiet choice to wait until later. The first act of power is to bring resistance into awareness. Without awareness, it runs the show in silence. With awareness, you can see it for what it is, a habit, not a truth. There is a shift that happens when you stop fighting resistance and start observing it. Imagine holding a stone in your hand. If you squeeze tightly, your hand tires quickly. If you release the grip, the stone remains, but you are no longer exhausted. Resistance is the tight grip. Releasing it does not always mean the situation changes instantly, but it means your relationship to it transforms. You step into flow, not because the world bends to your will, but because your energy no longer wastes itself on struggle. Flow is energy directed cleanly toward creation, instead of tangled in defense. A practical doorway into release begins with the body. The body never lies about resistance. If your shoulders are raised, if your jaw is clenched, if your chest feels locked, you are carrying more than the moment requires. To release, begin with breath that is deliberate and slow. Inhale through the nose, allowing the ribs to expand fully. Exhale, longer than the inhale, letting the body know it is safe to let go. 3 to 5 rounds of this practice soften the nervous system and signal to the subconscious that resistance can loosen. Breath is the language the body understands better than thought. While the mind argues, the breath restores trust. Another key lies in reinterpreting what resistance means. The ego tells you resistance is proof that you cannot move forward. In truth, resistance is a signal that you are brushing against the edge of growth. When you meet this edge, instead of retreating, ask the heart what the resistance is protecting. Often it protects an old identity, a belief of not enough, or a fear of failure. Thank the resistance for its attempt to guard you, and then remind yourself that safety now comes not from holding back but from moving in alignment with your greater vision. By reframing resistance as a guide rather than an enemy, you disarm its power. Daily practice strengthens this. Choose one simple moment each day to notice resistance and meet it with release. When you catch yourself hesitating on a message you want to send, pause, breathe, and send it anyway. When you feel yourself delaying a creative act, notice the tightness. Say aloud, I release this hold and begin. These micro choices accumulate. Each one teaches your nervous system that it can survive and even thrive when you let go. Over time, flow becomes the default state and resistance loses its grip. The quantum field responds not to what you think you want, but to the energy you embody. If you are filled with inner resistance, your vibration is tangled. You may affirm abundance while radiating fear. You may visualize freedom while embodying control. Releasing resistance cleans the signal. It aligns what you say with what you feel, and what you feel with what you radiate. This coherence is what the field amplifies. It is not about forcing the universe to deliver, but about becoming a clear vessel through which creation can move. The clearer you are, the faster the alignment manifests. Pay attention to how resistance disguises itself as logic. It will sound like careful planning, but underneath is fear of uncertainty. It will sound like responsibility, but underneath is reluctance to expand. It will sound like waiting for the right moment, but underneath is avoid. Recognizing these disguises allows you to pierce through them with clarity. Ask yourself often, is this decision coming from contraction or from openness? If it is contraction, pause, breathe, and choose again. Each choice toward openness is a thread woven into your quantum flow. One way to unlock flow is through radical permission. Give yourself permission to desire without judgment, permission to act without perfection, permission to move without guarantees. Resistance thrives where judgment rules. Flow emerges where permission opens space. Write down one desire you have kept quiet because the ego judged it as silly or impossible. Look at it as a possibility, not a verdict. Breathe with it. Speak it aloud softly. Each time you do, you weaken the chains of resistance and strengthen the current of flow. Another powerful practice is surrender. Not as passivity but as deep trust. Surrender means acknowledging that the quantum field holds possibilities beyond the ego's imagination. When you cling to control, you shrink the options to only what your mind can predict. When you surrender, you allow infinite pathways to reveal themselves. The ego fears surrender because it equates it with loss. In truth, surrender is gain. You gain freedom from the burden of micromanaging life. You gain energy to focus on aligned action. You gain the ability to recognize synchronicities and opportunities that were invisible under the fog of control. Observe nature, and you will see the essence of flow. Rivers do not resist the curves of the land, they move with them. Trees do not resist the seasons, they grow through them. The quantum field is no different. It bends and reshapes itself to energy that is free, not constricted. When you release resistance, you return to the same effortless intelligence that moves all of life. You discover that manifestation does not mean pushing but allowing. It does not mean controlling but aligning. This shift from force to flow is the heart of quantum creation. Resistance will never vanish entirely, and it does not need to. Its appearance is a reminder to return to awareness. Each time you notice it and release, you deepen your embodiment of flow. Mastery is not the absence of challenge but the skill of moving through it with grace. The ego will tell you that ease comes after everything is perfect. The truth is, ease begins the moment you let go of the unnecessary. From that letting go, flow is unlocked and manifestation becomes the natural extension of who you are. You are not here to carry the weight of resistance endlessly. You are here to move with the current of life, to shape it with clarity, and to allow the infinite field to meet you in resonance. Release is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It is choosing openness over fear, trust over control, alignment over struggle. As you release inner resistance, you will feel the shift, not only in your mind but in your body and in your day. Life becomes less about surviving each moment and more about creating with each breath. That is the path of quantum flow. That is how you unlock what has always been waiting within you. Number 3. Embrace present awareness to step into pure creation. There is a doorway that only opens in this moment. It cannot be forced open by replaying the past, and it cannot be reached by running toward the future. It waits here in the living presence that fills your body right now. When you learn to stand fully in awareness of this present space, you touch a current of creation that is pure and unbroken. Albert Einstein once wrote that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. His words are not just philosophy, they point to truth that power is never stored in memory or fantasy, but in the vibrancy of awareness you bring into this single breath. The ego fears this truth because it cannot survive in stillness. The ego survives by feeding you echoes of yesterday and projections of tomorrow. It needs comparison, regret, worry, and expectation to feel alive. That is why your attention is constantly pulled into mental noise. But when you gather your awareness and bring it home to this present instant, something extraordinary happens. The noise fades into the background and what remains is clarity. That clarity is the soil of creation. In that space, intention becomes clean and energy becomes coherent. The quantum field responds to that coherence as if the entire universe has been waiting for you to finally arrive. Present awareness is not passive drifting. It is active receptivity. It is the art of noticing what is real right now with such depth that new possibilities emerge. When you are aware of the way your body feels, the rhythm of your breath, the sensations in your environment, you awaken a sharper kind of intelligence. It is not the calculating intelligence of the ego, but the intuitive intelligence of the field itself. This is why many breakthroughs in art, science, and healing occur in moments of still awareness rather than in frantic effort. In silence, the mind loosens its grip and creativity flows through as if from another dimension. To embrace present awareness, you must practice letting go of the inner commentary that narrates your every move. That commentary is not reality. It is only interpretation. The moment you stop believing every thought you hear, you discover a wide open space beneath it. This space is awareness itself. In that space you realize you are not your thinking. You are the one who observes thought. That recognition is freedom because it allows you to choose whether or not to feed the stories the ego creates. Each time you choose awareness over story, you strengthen the muscle of presence. Try something simple now. Close your eyes and inhale slowly. Feel the air entering your lungs. Notice the expansion of the chest. As you exhale, notice the warmth leaving your body. If thoughts appear, watch them without chasing them. Feel your feet on the ground and allow yourself to register the support beneath you. This may seem too simple for the mind that craves complexity, but the simplicity is the power. The mind complicates, awareness clarifies. When you hold this kind of attention even for a few seconds, you experience a taste of the field that lies beneath ordinary perception. When awareness stabilizes in the present, you begin to notice synchronicities that you once dismissed as coincidence. A message arrives at the perfect moment. A conversation opens exactly the door you needed. The ego would call these accidents. Awareness reveals them as natural alignments. Because in presence your energy resonates clearly and the field responds. The more you practice, the more these alignments multiply. They are signs that you are no longer leaking energy into past and future, but are rooted in the living now. There is a danger in believing awareness is only for meditation cushions or quiet mornings. Presence is meant to be lived in action. When you walk, bring attention to the rhythm of your steps. When you speak, listen not only to words but to tone and pauses. When you eat, taste each bite instead of rushing. These simple practices rewire the nervous system so awareness is no longer a special state, but a constant way of being. And in that way of being, creation becomes effortless because you are no longer fighting yourself. The ego resists presence by insisting that something important will be lost. It says if you stop worrying, you will fail to prepare. If you stop chasing, you will miss your chance. But notice how these arguments always create more stress rather than clarity. True preparation comes from awareness of what is here, not from fear of what might come. True opportunity is recognized only in the now, not in a mind distracted by what if. By daring to drop the false urgency of ego, you gain access to the deep rhythm of life that moves without strain. Creation, in the quantum sense, is not about forcing reality to match your will. It is about aligning so deeply with presence that what you desire emerges naturally from who you are becoming. When you are aware, you no longer chase outcomes, you generate them. You radiate the frequency of your vision and the field organizes itself around that frequency. You cannot radiate from a place of distraction or fear. You can only radiate from awareness. This is why present awareness is the doorway to pure creation. It removes the static from your signal. It clears the interference so the message of your being is heard. A practical way to deepen this state is through mindful interruption. Several times a day, pause for 60 seconds. Stop whatever task you are doing and simply notice your environment. Hear the sounds around you. Feel the air on your skin. Notice one color in your surrounding. Bring all attention to this simple noticing. In that moment, you reset the nervous system and reclaim awareness. These small resets accumulate into a powerful shift. They train the body and mind to remain open rather than contracted. They show you that presence is always available even in the middle of busyness. The most beautiful discovery of this practice is that awareness itself carries healing. Emotional wounds that once seemed overwhelming soften when bathed in awareness. Physical tension that clings tightly begins to dissolve when observed with care. The heart opens because awareness does not judge, it simply notices. that non-judgment is medicine. When you rest in awareness long enough, the stories of the ego lose their sharp edges. They no longer define you. They become passing clouds in a wide sky. You remain the sky. Quantum manifestation requires this level of clarity, because the field cannot amplify a fractured signal. If part of you is stuck in regret, and part of you is lost in fear, the field receives a mixed message. But when you are here, fully awake and aligned, the message is unified. That unity is irresistible to the quantum field. It rushes to meet coherence with reflection. That is why presence is not only a spiritual practice, but a practical necessity. Without it, creation is scattered. With it, creation is inevitable. Notice how children live this truth naturally. They play fully immersed in each moment without calculating outcomes. They create entire worlds with imagination and presence. This is why their joy feels radiant and contagious. You once lived this way before the ego learned to clutch the past and predict the future. To embrace awareness now is not to learn something new, but to remember what you already knew. You are rediscovering the natural state of being that the ego covered with layers of work. The invitation is simple yet radical. To create purely, you must be here fully, not half in the memory of yesterday, not half in the projection of tomorrow, but wholly alive in this breath. From here the field opens. From here you step into pure creation. From here life meets you as an ally, not an obstacle. This moment is enough. This moment contains the seed of every future you desire. This moment is the quantum doorway waiting for you to step through. Number 4. Align daily thoughts with the truth of expansion. Your thoughts are not small passing sparks inside your head. They are signals carried into the invisible fabric of reality. Every word you repeat to yourself, every image you hold in your mind carries weight and momentum. The ego does not want you to believe this, because if you understood the creative power of thought, you would stop feeding its illusions of limitation. The truth is that your daily thoughts either keep you locked in contraction or align you with the rhythm of expansion. Expansion is the natural state of life. You see it in the way a tree stretches toward light, and in the way the universe itself continues to unfold. To align your thoughts with this truth is to step into harmony with the very nature of existence. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, once said that mind is the matrix of all matter. His words hold the key to understanding why aligning thought is not a luxury but a necessity. If mind is the matrix, then every thought is a seed planted into the unseen field. Thoughts of fear plant contraction and yield narrow paths. Thoughts of trust plant openness and yield wide horizons. Each day you are sowing, whether you notice or not. The ego convinces you that your private thoughts are harmless because no one hears them. But the field is always listening, always responding, always reflecting. The practice begins by recognizing the default patterns that loop in your mind each morning. Do you wake with the weight of unfinished tasks? Do you repeat the stories of yesterday's disappointments? These habitual thoughts create grooves in your brain and energetic signatures in your field. They limit what you are able to perceive and therefore limit what you can create. To align with expansion, you must train your thoughts to move differently. This is not about blind positivity or pretending pain does not exist. It is about consciously redirecting attention toward what expands you rather than what contracts you. Imagine for a moment that each thought is a lens. Through one lens, everything looks heavy, narrow, and impossible. Through another lens, the same situation appears open, creative, and full of potential. The difference is not the world itself, but the filter of thought. Expansion requires that you choose the wider lens again and again until it becomes natural. This does not mean ignoring difficulty. It means looking at difficulty and saying, here is a chance to grow. Here is a place where more strength can be born. Here is a doorway into possibility. By choosing this perspective, you create a vibration that the field amplifies into form. To ground this into action, begin with one simple ritual in the morning. Before touching your phone, place your hand over your chest and bring to mind a thought that carries expansion. It can be as simple as today, I open to growth, or I allow clarity to guide me. Repeat it slowly and feel its resonance in your body. The key is not just words but the energy beneath them. When you embody the thought with feeling, it becomes a signal that reshapes your entire day. Notice how your posture changes when you think in alignment with expansion. Notice how your breath deepens. This is coherence forming. Throughout the day, practice catching thoughts that pull you into contraction. The ego often uses phrases like I can't, it's too late, or nothing ever changes. When these appear, do not battle them with force. Instead, replace them with an expansive alternative. For example, I can't shifts into I am learning. It's too late shifts into I move at the right time. Nothing ever changes shifts into each moment holds new potential. These replacements are not affirmations meant to decorate the surface. They are rewiring tools that shift the foundation of your thought patterns. The more consistently you practice, the more your brain creates new neural pathways and your field reflects new outcomes. Be aware that expansion is not only about thinking big dreams. It is also about allowing small daily moments to be infused with openness. Expansion is when you choose patience over irritation in traffic. Expansion is when you listen deeply instead of rushing to respond. Expansion is when you pause to feel gratitude for something ordinary. Each small thought aligned with expansion creates ripples that accumulate into profound shifts. The ego dismisses these as too minor to matter, but the quantum field magnifies consistency more than intensity. Another powerful key is imagination. Imagination is not childish fantasy. It is the creative bridge between thought and form. When you imagine vividly with presence, you send a blueprint into the field. To align with expansion, spend a few minutes daily imagining yourself already living from the state you desire, not as a distant dream but as a felt reality now. Notice the sensations, the ease, the confidence, the joy. The field responds not to words alone but to the emotional resonance carried by those images. The more real it feels inside, the more natural it becomes outside. There will be resistance because the ego thrives on old loops. At first it will feel unnatural to redirect your thought. You may feel the pull of old judgments or doubts. Instead of fighting them, observe them with compassion. Remind yourself that every old thought was once a survival strategy. But survival is no longer enough. You are here to expand, not just to endure. By acknowledging the ego without obeying it, you reclaim the authority of your mind. Even science confirms the plasticity of your brain. Neuroplasticity shows that repeated thought literally reshapes your neural circuits. Each new expansive thought is like carving a fresh path in a dense forest. The first walk is difficult, but with repetition the path widens, and soon it becomes the natural way forward. When your brain changes, your vibration changes. When your vibration changes, your field reorganizes. That is how daily thoughts lead to tangible manifestation. Consider the difference between a person who wakes each day saying life is against me, and one who wakes saying life works with me. The external conditions may look similar at first, but over time the outcomes diverge completely. The first person gathers evidence of struggle, because their thoughts tune them into that frequency. The second gathers evidence of support because their thoughts tune them into alignment. The field does not discriminate, it simply reflects. This is why aligning daily thoughts with expansion is not optional. If you seek easeful manifestation, one of the most effective practices is evening reflection. Before sleep, review the thoughts you carried most often during the day. Were they expansive or contracted? Instead of judgment, simply notice. Then choose one expansive thought to carry into sleep. The subconscious is most open before rest, and what you hold in those moments seeps into your deeper layers. Planting expansion before sleep allows your system to recalibrate overnight. You wake clearer, lighter, more open. There is no need to seek perfection. The ego will use the idea of perfect thought control as another weapon. Expansion does not demand flawless thinking. It asks for awareness and choice. Even catching one contracting thought and shifting it creates momentum. Even holding one expansive thought for a few minutes can ripple into hours of aligned energy. What matters is consistency, sincerity, and willingness to grow. You are not your past thoughts. You are not the fears that repeat inside your head. You are the awareness that chooses where attention rests. That awareness is your greatest power because it can redirect, reframe, and realign. When you use it to align daily thoughts with the truth of expansion, you reclaim your creative authority. The ego shrinks, the heart opens, and the field responds with opportunities that reflect your openness. Expansion is the natural movement of the universe. Aligning with it is not about forcing yourself to grow faster than you are ready. It is about remembering that growth is already the rhythm of life, and allowing your thoughts to flow with it instead of against it. Each time you choose expansion, you say yes to life. Each time you say yes, life says yes back to you. This is the dance of creation. This is the path of effortless manifestation, and it begins with the thoughts you hold today, repeated tomorrow, and lived each moment after. Number 5. Strengthen your energy by embodying calm, focused presence. Strength is not about force, it is about steadiness. Your true power in the quantum field is not measured by how much effort you push outward, but by how deeply you embody presence inward. Calm, focused presence is the state where your energy no longer leaks into distraction or fear. It is the condition where you stand rooted like a mountain yet flexible like water. In that state, manifestation stops being a struggle and begins to unfold with ease. The ego resists this because it thrives on urgency and chaos. It wants you scattered, reactive, and impatient. But the field responds most powerfully when you are still, centered, and clear. Richard Feynman, one of the great quantum physicists, once reminded us that nature cannot be fooled. This wisdom carries a hidden message for you. You cannot fool the quantum field with empty affirmations if your energy is restless inside. You cannot broadcast clarity while carrying inner turbulence. What you embody is what the field amplifies. Calm, focused presence is the alignment that makes your intentions magnetic and your actions effortless. Without it, you are always trying to force results. With it, you allow results to find you. Begin by noticing the state of your energy when you wake in the morning. Do you rush immediately into the noise of tasks, messages, and responsibilities, or do you anchor yourself in stillness before entering the day? The way you begin determines the frequency you carry. A mind scattered at sunrise creates scattered outcomes by sunset. A mind rooted in calm at sunrise shapes a coherent field around every step you take. Strengthening energy means choosing the second path. Consistently and deliberately, you can cultivate this calm presence through simple embodied practice. Stand with your feet on the floor and breathe deeply into your belly. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. With each breath, feel the expansion under your palms. This is not just breathing, it is reminding your body that you are safe in this moment. Safety calms the nervous system. And when the nervous system calms, your field becomes coherent. From coherence, energy grows strong. Focus then becomes the next layer. Focus is not about narrowing your mind so tightly that everything else disappears. Focus in the quantum sense is relaxed concentration. It is the ability to hold one intention clearly without scattering attention across 10 different concerns. The ego loves to fragment your focus. It whispers about unfinished stories, future problems, and possible failure. But you strengthen energy when you refuse to chase those whispers and instead return again and again to the one clear intention in front of you. This returning is the discipline that builds presence into power. When you embody calm focus, time itself begins to. Have you noticed how hours vanish when you are fully absorbed in something meaningful? That is a glimpse of quantum presence. In those moments, your awareness is so aligned that the usual rules of time and effort dissolve. Productivity doubles not because you force yourself harder, but because energy flows without interruption. The ego cannot replicate this state because it depends on struggle. True presence is free of struggle. It is not heavy. It is light, precise, and alive. To live this way requires training. Begin by practicing single tasking in a world addicted to multitasking. When you eat, just eat. Taste every bite. When you listen, just listen. Let every word enter fully. When you create, just create. Pour all attention into the task at hand. These small acts build the muscle of presence. Over weeks and months, your system learns to rest and focus naturally. When that happens, your energy strengthens without effort. You carry calm power into everything you do, and the field mirrors that stability back to you. Embodying calm presence also means regulating emotional storms. Emotions are not the enemy, they are energy in motion. But when left unchecked, they scatter your field. Anger sends spikes. Fear creates contraction. Anxiety spreads chaos. To embody calm presence, you must notice emotions quickly and ground them before they dominate. One practice is to name the emotion aloud in one word: fear, anger, sadness, and then exhale slowly, as if releasing weight from the chest. Naming creates separation, and breathing dissolves intensity. This does not suppress emotion, it integrates it into presence. When integrated, emotion becomes fuel rather than distraction. Consider how athletes enter a zone where everything slows down, their movements precise, their focus absolute. That zone is not magical luck, it is trained presence. They strengthen their energy by learning to calm the mind and center the body in high pressure. The same principle applies to your daily life. You may not face stadium lights, but you face decisions, challenges, and opportunities that require the same state of presence. If you can train yourself to stay calm and focused under pressure, you carry a magnetic field that others feel instantly. People trust coherence because it is rare. The universe responds to it because it is pure. Strengthening energy also requires rest. Calm, focused presence cannot emerge from exhaustion. Sleep, quiet reflection, and mindful pauses are not laziness. They are fuel for your quantum field. When you rest well, your body resets, your mind clears, and your energy strengthens naturally. The ego tells you to keep pushing without pause, but the field responds not to how hard you grind, but to how aligned you are. Rest is part of alignment. Rest restores clarity, and clarity amplifies focus. Another pathway is gratitude. Gratitude is not just a pleasant feeling, it is a frequency stabilizer. When you embody gratitude sincerely, your energy shifts into calm expansion. Gratitude cuts through noise and centers you in presence. Each time you feel grateful, you are telling the field, I am coherent, I am open, I am alive. The more you practice this, the stronger your energetic presence becomes. Gratitude is a tuning fork that harmonizes your field with expansion. It is important to remember that strengthening energy is not about becoming emotionless or robotic. Calm, focused presence is not numbness. It is aliveness without chaos. It is awareness sharpened yet relaxed. It is a confidence born from alignment, not arrogance born from ego. When you embody this state, you become a living anchor for those around you. Your presence influences environments without words because energy always speaks first. The journey into calm, focused presence is not about quick tricks. It is a discipline. Discipline does not mean rigidity. It means consistency. Each time you return to your breath, each time you choose single tasking, each time you release emotional storms, you are strengthening your field. Over time, your default shifts. Instead of reacting in chaos, you respond from clarity. Instead of leaking energy, you radiate steadiness. Instead of chasing, you attract. This is the hidden truth of manifestation that the ego does not want you to know. You do not need to scream louder or hustle harder to manifest. You need to embody calm, focused presence so fully that your energy becomes undeniable. The field cannot ignore coherence. It organizes around it like metal shavings around a magnet. Calm presence is that magnet. It pulls opportunities, insights, and connections into your path effortlessly. The practice begins now, not tomorrow. Feel your body in this moment. Notice your breath. Release the tension you did not realize you were holding. Choose one intention to focus on today and carry it with calm steadiness. This is how energy strengthens, not through force but through consistent embodiment of presence. Each day you practice, you grow more magnetic, more resilient, more aligned, and soon you will notice that life itself bends toward your clarity, reflecting the power you have cultivated with. Number 6. Transform fear stories into gateways of limitless growth. Fear has a way of weaving stories so convincing that you forget they are only stories. The ego clings to fear because it thrives on control, and nothing controls you more effectively than the belief that danger is waiting at every turn. But fear is not the enemy. Fear is unrefined energy. When you believe its stories without question, it contracts you. When you meet it with awareness, it expands you. In the quantum field, nothing is wasted. Every contraction contains the seed of a new possibility. Niels Bohr once said, "Opposites are not contradictory but complementary." This wisdom applies to fear. What you resist becomes heavier, but what you face transforms into strength. The stories fear tells are always rooted in the past or projected into the future. It says, "This happened before, so it will happen again." Or if you move forward, you will fail. These narratives are not truth. They are echoes of memory and imagination. The present moment itself rarely contains the danger the story suggests, but the ego pulls you into those imagined timelines so you remain frozen. The quantum field does not respond to fear's story. It responds to your frequency. If your frequency is entangled in fear, you manifest limitation. If your frequency is lifted through awareness, you manifest expansion. Transforming fear into growth requires seeing through its disguise. Begin by asking, is this fear pointing to real danger or an old echo? Most of the time it is the latter. When you name fear as an echo, you disarm it. The story begins to unravel. Each time you choose presence over projection, the story loses strength. This act is not denial. It is reclamation. You reclaim the energy fear was holding hostage. That energy can then fuel your vision, your creativity, your courage. Fear becomes the very path into expansion. Imagine you are standing before a locked door. Fear is the lock. Most people turn away, assuming the path is blocked. But if you lean closer, you realize the lock is made of paper. It only looked solid from a distance. When you push gently, it dissolves. Behind it is the doorway into your next evolution. This is how fear stories operate. They appear like walls but collapse into gateways when you meet them with clarity. One practical way to shift fear is to write the story it tells you. Put the words on paper exactly as they arise in your mind. Do not censor, then read it aloud slowly. Often when you hear fear's voice outside your head, you notice how exaggerated or illogical it sounds. This breaks the trance. Once the trance breaks, you can rewrite the story. Replace "I will fail" with "I am learning and expanding." Replace "I am not ready" with "I am becoming stronger through this challenge." This is not blind optimism. It is the alchemy of energy. By rewriting the story, you change the signal you send into the quantum field. Another practice is to enter the body when fear arises. Fear is not only in the mind, it vibrates through the nervous system. You might feel it as tightness in the chest, tension in the shoulders, or a restless stomach. Place your attention directly on the sensation. Breathe slowly into it. Instead of resisting, welcome it. Often within a few breaths, the intensity dissolves. Presence transforms fear at the root, because fear feeds on resistance. When you stop resisting, it has nothing left to grip. Every time you face fear consciously, you build resilience. Resilience is the ability to stand steady in uncertainty, and that steadiness amplifies your manifestation power. The quantum field rewards resilience because resilience is coherence in action. When you remain centered while fear stories swirl, your signal stays clear. That clarity draws aligned outcomes toward you. The field does not care about the words you speak. It cares about the frequency you embody. It is important to remember that fear points to what you value. You fear losing what matters. That means fear is also a compass. Instead of treating it as a stop sign, treat it as a guidepost. If fear arises when you consider sharing your voice, it means your voice carries power. If fear arises when you consider a new step in your purpose, it means that step holds expansion. The presence of fear is not evidence you should stop. It is evidence you are standing at the edge of growth. Think of fear as a threshold guardian. In every myth, the hero meets a guardian before entering the treasure chamber. The guardian is not there to stop them, but to test their commitment. If the hero retreats, the treasure remains hidden. If the hero steps forward, the guardian transforms into an ally. Your fear functions the same way. It stands at the doorway of your growth, asking, "Are you ready?" If you answer yes with your actions, the fear dissolves into strength. When you shift this relationship with fear, your life begins to feel limitless. Opportunities that once felt overwhelming become invitations. Challenges that once triggered avoidance become arenas of growth. You begin to notice that the situations which scared you most were precisely the ones designed to expand your capacity. The quantum field meets this shift with synchronicities and breakthroughs, because you are no longer leaking energy into resistance. You are channeling energy into creation. This transformation is not instantaneous. It is a practice. Each time fear arises, you have a choice. You can collapse into the old story, or you can step into presence and rewrite it. The more you choose the second option, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, fear stops being a shadow and becomes a signal of where to grow next. You no longer dread its arrival. You welcome it as a guide. Even fear of failure, one of the most common fear stories, becomes fuel. Failure is not a final state. It is feedback. When you see failure not as an identity but as information, you unlock growth. Fear loses its grip, because you no longer measure yourself by outcomes but by evolution. Each attempt adds strength to your field. Each lesson adds clarity to your vision. Fear of failure transforms into courage to explore. Calm presence in the face of fear does not mean you never feel afraid. It means you stop letting fear dictate your path. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move, despite it. Each courageous step strengthens your signal. Each moment of presence reshapes your field. Over time, your energy becomes unshakable. You embody the truth that fear is no longer your master but your ally. This is the quantum shift. Fear stories are not walls, but invitations. When you meet them with awareness, they open into gateways. On the other side of those gateways is a version of you more expansive, more aligned, more free. The field responds to this version with infinite possibility. What once seemed impossible becomes natural. What once felt blocked becomes flowing. Fear has not disappeared. It has been transmuted. You have turned shadow into light, contraction into expansion, story into freedom. The next time fear arises, pause and listen. Ask it what gift it carries. Step forward with calm clarity. Breathe into the energy. Rewrite the story. Move through the doorway. Each time you do, you strengthen your field, expand your capacity, and align with limitless growth. This is how fear ceases to be a prison and becomes your most powerful path to quantum manifestation. Number 7. Trust quantum signals guiding you toward effortless action. There is a subtle rhythm beneath the noise of daily life, a current that whispers instead of shouts, a signal that moves through the quantum field, waiting for you to notice. These are not random sensations. They are not accidents. They are the language of alignment. When you learn to trust quantum signals, you stop chasing outcomes and begin allowing effortless action to arise. Albert Einstein once wrote, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant." He reminded us that intuition, the quiet inner signal, opens a door the logical ego can never fully grasp. The quantum field speaks through these signals, and when you learn to trust them, your life transforms into a state of flow where every action feels guided rather than forced. The ego thrives on control, planning, and guarantees. It wants to analyze every step, predict every outcome, and hold certainty in its grip. But manifestation does not come from control. It comes from coherence with the field. When you listen only to the ego, you often push too hard, move in the wrong direction, or burn yourself out in struggle. Quantum signals guide you differently. They appear as sudden clarity, unexpected synchronicities, gentle nudges in the body, or subtle feelings of resonance. The more you notice them, the clearer they become. They are like invisible breadcrumbs leading you to your expansion. Trusting these signals requires courage, because they rarely align with the ego's timeline. The ego demands speed and proof, while the field offers signs in silence. You might feel an urge to pause when the ego screams to rush. You might feel drawn to call someone without knowing why. You might notice a sentence in a book, glowing as if written just for you. These are not coincidences. They are invitations. The more you honor them, the more effortless your path becomes. Action born from quantum signals carries a different energy than action born from ego struggle. Ego-driven action feels heavy, pressured, and anxious. You feel like you are pushing against a wall. Quantum-guided action feels light, alive, and magnetic. Doors open without knocking. People show up at the right moment. Ideas crystallize without effort. You move forward not because you forced the path, but because the path unfolded beneath your feet. How do you know when a signal is truly quantum, and not just another thought? The answer lies in sensation. Ego thoughts come with tension and urgency. Quantum signals feel expansive, calm, and grounded, even when they stretch you beyond comfort. If the thought says, "Hurry or you will miss out," it is likely ego. If the whisper says, "This feels right, trust this," it is the field. Over time you sharpen your awareness and distinguish the voice of fear from the signal of truth. A powerful practice is to pause each morning and ask, "What signal is calling me today?" Then sit quietly and notice the first subtle image, word or feeling that arises. Do not dismiss it, write it down. Later act on it with openness. You will often find that this small step leads to unexpected flow. Another practice is to track synchronicities. When the same phrase, number, or opportunity shows up in different places, take note. The field communicates through pattern. By honoring these signs, you tune your frequency to alignment. When you trust quantum signals, you release the burden of needing to know every detail. You no longer spend your days calculating outcomes or fearing wrong turns. You understand that the field is intelligent, and its intelligence is greater than your limited perspective. What you can see is only a fragment. The field sees the whole. To trust signals is to surrender the illusion of control, while gaining the power of alignment. Many breakthroughs in history came not through logical calculation but through sudden intuitive signals. Nikola Tesla described receiving entire designs for inventions in flashes of inner vision. He said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." Tesla trusted signals from the field rather than confining himself to rigid reasoning. His genius was not forcing but receiving. You too have access to that same field. The difference is not ability but awareness. When you live guided by signals, you notice how life supports you in unexpected ways. Perhaps you felt drawn to take a different route home and met someone who changed your life. Perhaps you delayed sending a message only to find that waiting aligned perfectly with someone else's timing. Each time you trust, the field rewards you with coherence. You begin to feel carried by something greater than your ego. Effort becomes lighter, and manifestation feels natural rather than strained. This does not mean you never take action. Action is essential, but the difference is whether the action is forced or inspired. Inspired action feels as if it is doing itself through you. It arises spontaneously, and energy flows easily behind it. The quantum field aligns your steps with precision you could never engineer on your own. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. Of course, the ego resists this way of living. It will argue, you cannot trust feelings, you need facts. But facts alone are fragments. They cannot show the entire field of potential. When you cling only to facts, you limit yourself to what has already been measured. When you trust signals, you enter the realm of what is emerging. The quantum field is not static. It is alive, and its aliveness expresses through intuition. To strengthen this trust, start with small signals. Follow the nudge to take a walk, to call a friend, to read a certain page. As you see the synchronicities unfold, your trust grows. Eventually you build enough confidence to follow bigger signals, such as shifting careers, moving to a new place, or stepping boldly into your purpose. Each time you honor the signal, you align your field with expansion. Each time you ignore it, you reinforce contraction. The magic of this process is that it does not require force. You are not manufacturing signals, you are noticing what is already present. The signals were always there, but the noise of the ego drowned them out. Silence, awareness, and openness clear the space for them to shine. Like tuning a radio, you adjust your frequency until the message comes through clearly. Once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. It becomes your compass. Trusting quantum signals is not about abandoning reason. It is about letting intuition and reason work together in harmony. The rational mind helps organize steps, while the intuitive mind points to the right direction. Together they create coherence. Alone, the rational mind limits. Alone, intuition drifts. Together they build bridges between vision and reality. Imagine living every day in partnership with the field. You wake with clarity, guided by signals that lead you to the right actions. You move through challenges with ease, knowing that even obstacles carry hidden guidance. You meet people at the exact time you need them. You discover that manifestation is not about forcing outcomes but following signals into alignment. Life becomes a dance rather than a struggle. This is what it means to trust quantum signals guiding you toward effortless action. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You begin to embody flow, and your energy radiates certainty without control. The field responds by amplifying your signals, surrounding you with opportunities, and opening doors beyond logic. The path of alignment does not require strain. It requires the signals are already here, waiting for your awareness. All you must do is listen, feel, and follow. Number 8. Practice steady rituals that stabilize your evolving field. Every shift in your consciousness creates ripples through the quantum field, and those ripples carry the blueprint of what you are becoming. But here's the paradox. As you evolve, your field expands, and with that expansion comes instability unless you learn to ground it. This is why steady rituals are not just habits. They are anchors that stabilize your evolving field and allow manifestation to flow with coherence instead of scattering in 1,000 directions. Without them, the ego pulls you back into old loops, distracting you with chaos, fear, or endless mental noise. With them, you step into alignment where your energy remains centered, clear, and magnetic. Niels Bohr, one of the great architects of quantum theory, once said, "Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real." He was pointing to the unseen nature of reality, where vibration, intention, and consciousness shape what eventually crystallizes as experience. Rituals bridge the invisible and the visible. They transform fleeting inner states into consistent frequencies that shape your outer life. They tell the field, "This is who I am, this is the vibration I live from," and the field responds with coherence. Ego resists rituals because it craves novelty and distraction. It says, "Why repeat the same thing every day? It doesn't matter." Yet rituals are the very framework that keeps your expanding energy from collapsing. Think of them like the scaffolding around a building under construction. Without the scaffolding, the structure wobbles, bends, and eventually breaks. With the scaffolding, the form stabilizes until it can hold itself. Your evolving field is the same. Rituals give it shape while it strengthens. The power of a ritual does not come from complexity. It comes from presence and repetition. A ritual could be as simple as beginning each morning with 3 deep breaths where you consciously connect to your heart, or as profound as dedicating time daily to meditate and align with the field. The ego wants elaborate practices, but the field responds to consistency, not drama. A few steady practices done daily will stabilize your energy far more than sporadic bursts of effort. As you practice rituals, notice how they shift your state. When you return to them daily, you create a rhythm that your body, mind, and energy begin to anticipate. The field starts to recognize this rhythm as your baseline frequency. Over time, this stability becomes a magnet for experiences that match it. Suddenly, synchronicities cluster around you. Opportunities arrive not sporadically, but steadily. Because your vibration is steady, you are not manifesting in waves of chaos, but in waves of coherence. There is a profound intelligence in aligning rituals with intention. If your intention is to expand abundance, create a daily ritual where you focus not on lack but on gratitude and receiving. If your intention is to open to love, create rituals that soften the heart and release judgment. If your intention is clarity, return to silence each morning until stillness anchors your mind. Each ritual becomes a signal to the field, a tuning fork that rings the frequency of your desire. It is important to understand that rituals are not mechanical, they are alive. If you go through the motions without awareness, the energy dissipates. But if you enter them with presence, even the smallest ritual becomes sacred. Lighting a candle, placing your hand on your chest, whispering words of alignment, these actions may seem simple, yet when done consciously they hold quantum power. They stabilize your field by marrying intention with repetition. Sometimes people abandon rituals when results do not appear immediately. But manifestation operates on resonance, not impatience. The field does not respond to your timeline, it responds to your consistency. The more you return to your ritual, the stronger your signal becomes, until the field cannot help but mirror it back to you. Think of water dripping steadily on stone. It may seem weak, but over time it reshapes the surface completely. So too does steady practice reshape your reality. What makes rituals especially powerful is how they disarm the ego. The ego thrives in chaos, but rituals create order. The ego thrives in distraction, but rituals create focus. The ego thrives in doubt, but rituals cultivate certainty. Every time you honor a ritual, you weaken the ego's grip and strengthen your alignment. You remind yourself daily that you are more than fleeting thoughts. You are consciousness creating with the field. Even science points toward the value of consistency. Studies on neuroplasticity show that repeated behaviors create new neural pathways. When you align your rituals with intention, you are not just stabilizing your energy field. You are rewiring your brain to embody that intention as your natural state. Rituals train your biology to match your vision. The brain, the nervous system, and the field begin to operate in harmony. You do not need dozens of rituals. One or two that you deeply commit to can transform everything. Imagine starting your morning with stillness, aligning your breath with your heart, visualizing yourself as already expanded. Then at night, releasing all tension and returning to gratitude before sleep. These two rituals alone, done daily, stabilize your vibration and invite the field to orchestrate reality in your favor. Over weeks, you notice subtle shifts. Over months, your entire baseline state has changed. Over years, your life feels like it was built on another frequency altogether. When challenges appear, rituals become your anchor. Instead of collapsing into fear, you return to your steady practice. You ground yourself again in the vibration of truth. Fear stories lose their grip because your field does not destabilize. You are no longer tossed by every wave of uncertainty. You carry your own lighthouse through the storm. This steadiness makes manifestation natural. Life bends toward your frequency, because your frequency does not waver. Great teachers throughout time understood this. Yogis repeated daily meditation to stabilize their awareness. Shamans used ritual to align with unseen realms. Mystics chanted or prayed at the same hours each day to hold coherence. These were not random acts of devotion. They were technologies for stabilizing evolving fields of consciousness. What they knew, science now begins to confirm. Consistency is power. When you adopt rituals, you send a message not only to the field but also to yourself. I am committed to coherence. I am committed to expansion. I am committed to embodying the frequency I choose. That commitment shifts everything. It builds trust in yourself and deepens your dialogue with the quantum field. You no longer live reactively. You live proactively, shaping your vibration before the day shapes you. As your field expands, new possibilities rush. Without stability, they can overwhelm you, scattering your energy into chaos. With rituals, you integrate them. You digest the expansion instead of choking on it. You walk steadily instead of stumbling. This steadiness does not slow manifestation. It accelerates it by making you a clear vessel. So remember, your rituals are not routines. They are sacred anchors. They stabilize the invisible architecture of your evolving field. They create coherence, where there was once noise, rhythm where there was once chaos, certainty where there was once doubt. When you return to them daily, you align with the quantum field in a way that feels unshakable, and in that alignment, manifestation stops being a battle and starts being your natural state. Number 9. Expand inner vision to manifest with graceful clarity. Your inner vision is the lens through which the quantum field interprets your intentions, and the clarity of that lens determines the precision of your manifestations. Most people wander through life with a fogged lens, distracted by ego judgments, limiting beliefs, and the endless chatter of doubt. The ego thrives in this fog because it keeps you small, safe, and reactive. But when you expand inner vision, you open your perception to the subtle currents of possibility that flow around and through you. As Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, said, "Science cannot solve the ultimate mystery of nature." And that is because in the last analysis, we ourselves are part of the mystery we are trying to solve. You are both the observer and the creator. Expanding your vision begins with realizing that the mysteries of your life exist within you as much as outside of you. Inner vision is not imagination in the ordinary sense. It is a heightened perception that combines intuition, awareness, and focus. It allows you to see the potential in situations, the pathways in opportunities, and the alignment in relationships before they appear externally. When your inner vision is expanded, you no longer react to the apparent chaos of the world. Instead, you respond from coherence, clarity, and resonance. The field meets this clarity with matching outcomes, because the universe does not manifest confusion, it mirrors alignment. To expand inner vision, begin by creating space for stillness each day. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and bring your attention inward. Feel the subtle currents in your body, the rhythm of your breath, the beat of your heart. Allow the mind to settle. As the surface noise quiets, deeper signals begin to emerge. These signals are subtle nudges, flashes of insight, and resonant feelings that point you toward the next aligned step. The expanded mind is patient, observant, and receptive. The ego often mistakes expansion for control. It wants to see every step mapped, every outcome guaranteed, every risk eliminated. Inner vision operates differently. It sees the field as fluid and dynamic, where outcomes emerge from coherent alignment rather than forceful effort. Expanding your vision is learning to trust subtle patterns, synchronistic events, and intuitive guidance. When you act from this space, your energy is not scattered, it is focused, flowing, and magnetic. Opportunities converge because your clarity becomes a signal that cannot be ignored. Visualization is a powerful tool for refining inner vision, but it must be practiced with embodiment. See not only the image, but also feel the reality of your intention as if it is already true. Imagine the texture, the sound, the emotion, and the energy of the outcome. The field responds to energy, not fantasy. Each time you embody the vision fully, you amplify its frequency, sending a blueprint into the quantum field that the universe naturally organizes around. Embodiment transforms imagination into magnetic reality. Awareness of limiting beliefs is another step in expanding vision. Many people cannot see clearly because their lens is clouded by self-doubt, fear, or old conditioning. Each limiting thought acts as a filter that distorts perception. Observe these beliefs, without judgment. Thank them for their role in keeping you safe when you were less conscious. Then release them, replace them with expansive alternatives that align with your highest potential. Each replacement opens your lens wider, allowing previously invisible pathways to appear. Expansion of inner vision is also about understanding interconnection. Nothing exists in isolation. Your thoughts, intentions, and emotions ripple outward, affecting circumstances you may not immediately see. When you see yourself as part of a larger field, your inner vision naturally widens. You recognize how your choices influence others, how energies interweave, and how the timing of events is orchestrated beyond linear comprehension. This awareness cultivates grace. Action taken with this understanding flows effortlessly instead of forcing outcome. Graceful clarity is the hallmark of expanded inner vision. It allows you to act decisively without ego interference. You no longer hesitate out of fear or overthink out of doubt. You move from alignment, not impulse. Each step becomes a declaration of coherence. The field recognizes this and organizes circumstances accordingly. Your influence extends not by effort but by clarity, not by struggle but by resonance. This is the secret of effortless manifestation. The ability to hold a wide, clear, and stable inner vision. Daily practice enhances this ability. Begin each morning by scanning your intentions and noticing where your mind is clear and where it is clouded. Meditate on the areas that need refinement. Journal insights that surface spontaneously. Over time, these practices strengthen perceptual acuity, allowing you to anticipate challenges, recognize opportunities early, and respond with elegance. The field synchronizes to this expanded vision because you are no longer fragmented. You are coherent. Remember that expanded vision does not mean rigid attachment. It does not require seeing every detail in advance. The quantum field is dynamic, and clarity is not the same as control. Expanded inner vision is seeing the possibilities while remaining fluid, knowing the universe can bring better solutions than the mind can calculate. It is trusting your intuition while staying grounded in present. When your vision remains flexible yet focused, you navigate life with elegance and efficiency, letting the field deliver outcomes that align with your highest potential. Observe how synchronicities begin to emerge as your vision expands. People appear at the exact moment to provide guidance. Situations resolve themselves in unexpected ways. Resources manifest seemingly out of nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your coherent energy. As your inner clarity sharpens, your outer world begins to reflect that same clarity. The more precise and expansive your vision, the more naturally aligned your reality becomes. Expanding inner vision also deepens your self-awareness. You notice when ego stories arise and obscure your perception. You recognize emotional distortions and habitual patterns before they dictate your actions. This awareness allows you to respond from alignment rather than reaction. The field mirrors this state back to you through experiences that challenge and refine your coherence. Each moment of alignment strengthens your ability to act with grace, clarity, and precision. Even your perception of time shifts when inner vision expands. Past limitations and future anxieties lose grip. You operate in the present with awareness of the field's infinite potential. You make choices with foresight while staying rooted in immediacy. The sense of urgency driven by ego diminishes, replaced by a steady rhythm that carries momentum without friction. You navigate life as if guided by a silent hand, where each step is both intentional and effortless. To maintain expanded inner vision, integrate reflection into your day. Before sleep, review where clarity reigned and where fog lingered. Celebrate moments when intuition guided you correctly. Notice lessons from areas that felt unclear. This practice strengthens discernment and sharpens the lens through which you perceive. Each day the field tunes more closely to your coherent frequency, and your manifestation becomes increasingly effortless. Expanding inner vision is ultimately a process of reclaiming authority over your perception. You move from being a passive observer of life to an active participant in the orchestration of your reality. Your intentions carry precision. Your choices carry resonance. Your awareness carries alignment. The quantum field responds with fidelity, reflecting the depth and clarity of your inner vision in your outer world. When you operate from expanded inner vision, life flows with graceful clarity. Decisions unfold naturally. Opportunities arrive effortless. Challenges become navigable pathways rather than obstacles. You no longer strain to make things happen. Instead, you embody a magnetic presence that organizes reality around your coherent energy. Each moment becomes an act of creation. Each action a reflection of the infinite possibilities available to you. Your vision expands. Your clarity deepens. And your manifestation becomes a natural expression of your aligned consciousness. Number 10. Live each moment as a continuous quantum becoming. Existence is not static. It is a continuous unfolding, a dance of energy and consciousness, where each moment carries infinite potential. To live as a continuous quantum becoming is to perceive yourself not as a fixed identity, but as an evolving field of possibility. The ego resists this because it craves permanence, labels, and certainty. It wants to define who you are, where you belong, and what is possible. Yet in the quantum field, nothing is fixed. Every particle, every thought, every intention is in motion, pulsating with potential. Werner Heisenberg, one of the pioneers of quantum mechanics, revealed that not only is the universe stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. This strangeness is your opportunity to embody life as an endless flow of creation. Living each moment as a quantum becoming means dissolving attachment to past and future, and immersing fully in presence. Every breath, every step, every thought becomes a site of transformation. The past is memory. The future is projection. But the present is where the field responds to your frequency. When you inhabit this moment fully, you amplify coherence and radiate possibility. The universe does not wait for perfection. It responds to aligned energy now. Each moment you choose presence, you strengthen your signal in the field, and the universe begins to orchestrate experiences that reflect your evolving state. The human mind struggles because it seeks endpoints, milestones, and definitive results. Quantum becoming defies this linear thinking. It is a continuum of exploration, where growth is constant and expansion inevitable. You are not striving to arrive. You are embodying the unfolding process itself. In each decision, each interaction, each thought, you participate in shaping your own reality. When you live in this state, fear of failure or limitation diminishes, because life is no longer a series of fixed outcomes, but an ongoing act of co-creation. Embodiment is central to this practice. To live as a quantum becoming, you must inhabit your body fully. Your body is the vessel through which energy flows, the interface between internal intention and external manifestation. Notice sensations, feel the heartbeat, align breath with awareness. Each time you bring consciousness into the body, you strengthen the coherence of your field. The ego often distracts you with mental narratives that bypass the body. But true alignment arises when mind, heart, and body resonate as one. Intentions in a state of quantum becoming are fluid and responsive. You plant seeds without forcing growth, and yet you water them with attention, presence, and action when necessary. The field responds dynamically, adjusting circumstances to support your evolution. Your role is not to control every detail but to maintain alignment, observing and responding with clarity. When your energy is coherent, the universe meets you halfway. Each action becomes effortless because it is guided by resonance rather than resistance. Living as a continuous becoming requires deep trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the intelligence of the field, trust in the unseen orchestration that constantly supports your expansion. This trust is not passive, it is active surrender. You surrender the illusion of needing to know all outcomes while fully participating in creation. David Bohm, a visionary in quantum physics, spoke of the implicate order, the hidden interconnectedness beneath apparent reality. By trusting the unfolding, you align with this implicate order, moving seamlessly through possibilities without friction. Attention is a tool of transformation. Where you place your attention, energy flows. In every moment, ask yourself, am I focusing on limitation or potential? Am I anchoring in past stories or embracing present possibility? Each choice of attention determines the field you inhabit. The ego habitually pulls attention toward distraction, conflict, or fear. Quantum awareness, by contrast, learns to redirect attention toward coherence, curiosity, and expansion. Over time, this redirection becomes second nature, and living as a quantum becoming becomes effortless. Perception expands in this state. You begin to notice patterns, subtle signals, and synchronistic events that guide you. Opportunities align not by accident but by the resonance you maintain. Relationships deepen because you operate from authenticity and clarity. Challenges appear not as obstacles but as invitations to evolve further. Each encounter becomes a feedback loop, revealing areas where your energy is coherent and areas where alignment can deepen. Life becomes a mirror of your evolving consciousness. Time itself transforms. The sense of linear hours, days, and years becomes less pressing because you understand that manifestation operates in resonance rather than schedule. Moments of deep alignment expand and contract in experience, yet each is fully present. You no longer rush or cling. You move fluidly, guided by intuition, embodied presence, and resonance with the field. Every heartbeat is both a milestone and a doorway. Each breath carries opportunity for insight, connection, and creation. Integration is key. To sustain a state of continuous becoming, you return consistently to practices that anchor your alignment. Morning rituals, reflection, embodiment exercises, meditation, and focused intention are not chores but instruments of coherence. Each practice is a declaration that you are committed to evolution, that you honor your own energy, and that you recognize your participation in the field of creation. Over time, these practices tune your energy so finely that living as a quantum becoming is no longer effortful. It becomes the default state of consciousness. Even setbacks become part of the flow. When challenges arise, they are no longer threats but mirrors reflecting aspects of your field that require refinement. You respond with curiosity rather than resistance. Energy that once fragmented in fear or frustration now flows toward realignment. Each moment becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. The universe, in this co-creative dance, continually adjusts to your coherence. The more present and aligned you are, the more gracefully you navigate the unfolding of life. The quantum becoming is also an invitation to creativity. In each moment, you have the opportunity to co-create with the field. Thoughts, feelings, intentions, and actions are instruments in this symphony. You are both composer and performer. As your awareness expands, the music becomes richer, the harmonies deeper, and the resonance stronger. Manifestation becomes not a mechanical process but a living art form, responsive and dynamic. Ultimately, living each moment as a continuous quantum becoming is the mastery of presence, awareness, and alignment. You release fixation on results, dissolve attachment to ego identities, and step fully into the flow of evolution. Life ceases to be a series of disconnected events and becomes a seamless tapestry of opportunity, resonance, and growth. You embody the principle that reality is not a thing to grasp, but a field to engage with consciously, continuously, and gracefully. Every moment is both a choice and a reflection. By consciously choosing coherence, presence, and resonance in each heartbeat, you transform your field. You shift perception, amplify intention, and invite synchronicity. The universe responds not to force but to fidelity, not to struggle but to clarity. Each day becomes a living experiment in alignment, each action a manifestation of your ongoing evolution. You are never finished. You are always becoming, and that infinite becoming is your greatest power. Living as a continuous quantum becoming is not a practice with an endpoint. It is a commitment to evolution itself. Each breath is a recalibration, each thought a recalibration, each intention a tuning of your field. You step into life fully, neither clinging to the past, nor grasping at the future. Your presence radiates coherence, your energy shapes reality, and your existence becomes a flowing expression of the infinite possibilities that the quantum field offers. Every moment is alive, responsive, and pregnant with potential, and in this ongoing act of creation, you are the living embodiment of quantum mastery. Now that you have journeyed through all 10 chapters, it is time to embody them as a living practice. Awaken your heart and see through the ego's illusions, release resistance that blocks your flow, and immerse fully in present awareness to create without struggle. Align your thoughts daily with expansion, strengthen your energy through calm, focused presence, and transform every fear story into a doorway for growth. Trust the subtle quantum signals that guide effortless action. Anchor your evolution with steady rituals, expand your inner vision to manifest with clarity, and live each moment as a continuous quantum becoming. Apply these principles daily, even in small steps, and watch your reality shift in ways your mind never imagined. Dark forces of doubt and distraction will try to pull you back, but coherence always wins. Subscribe now to stay aligned, because the next video will reveal even deeper, life-altering quantum audiobook strategies that cannot be ignored.